Here we go. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now the second portion of this afternoon's presentation, I'm going to talk to you about ghosts, and I'm going to talk to you about the other side. Okay, this was when Mom and I were in Bertie's class, and she hadn't really talked to us much about ghosts, but a friend of my mom's called her and said, could you and one of your kids come over and look in my attic, because there's voices, we hear footsteps. And so Mom came back up to my room and said, honey, Carol wants us to come over to her house. Okay. Why? Well, they're hearing voices and footsteps. Oh, okay. So we get in the car and we're driving. It was quite a ways out to Carol's house, and so the thought occurs to me. Okay, why are we going there? Because she hears voices and footsteps in her attic. Oh, okay. Driving along. Wait a minute now. Are you thinking that we are going to be looking for like a ghost? And she said, well, I'm not sure, honey. Oh, okay. And driving along, and my little Virgo brain is really analyzing the whole situation. Okay, Mom, what do they look like? Well, I'm not sure, honey. Okay. Driving along. Mom, what are we going to do if we find one? And she said, I don't really know, honey. And so that's how much we knew about ghost busting. And we didn't have a clue. Okay. We get to Carol's, we go up to the attic. I was raised on Casper, so I'm looking for a little white blobby guy with two holes, with eyes. And so I'm standing there, and I'm just looking around for this filmy thing. And over in the corner, there's a man and a woman and a girl and a boy, but they're kind of invisible, but yet you can kind of see them. So I look at my mom, and she's looking right at him. So I said, why are those people over there? And she said, I don't know. Okay, so I think Mom was looking for Gasper too, because it didn't really dawn on us that those people were actually, to tell you the truth, I didn't know what a ghost was. All I knew was Casper, and I did not know that a ghost is the soul of someone. So I'm looking for this blobby white thing, and nothing ever appeared, but again, I'm thinking, I wonder why those people are over there. And into my head comes the words, he won't let us go to the other side. So I look at this lady. Now her lips weren't moving, but that's what came into my head. So I had the thought, who won't let you go to the other side? And into my head comes the thought, again, this is clairaudience thoughts. My husband was an alcoholic and a smoker, and he passed out, well, perished in a fire, and he won't let us go to the other side because he's afraid he's going to get sent to hell. All that came into my head, and my mom said, we both heard it. So Mom and I look at each other, and we said, well, you have to go. Oh, okay. So they go through the wall. And we thought, wow, that was easy. And again, Casper never showed up. So we didn't find any ghosts. We just saw some invisible people standing over in the corner. Okay? And that was the extent of what we did. And by the time we got back home from Carol's, Carol said, okay, well, all the footsteps are back and we hear all the voices again. All right. Well, then shortly after that, I did another job, which was just crazy, and I had no idea what I was doing. And so after that, I just thought, okay, this is it. I'm hanging up this job. I'm not, just because I'm a psychic doesn't mean I have to know how to do this stuff, right? Okay, so after that, any time that people knew that I had psychic abilities, they would ask me if I would come and look in their attic. It's always the attic. And I would just say, yeah, I don't know how to do that. And then one day, and this was many years later, one of my students said to me, would you come and look at my house? She said, it's so haunted, I think. She said, I had to move out, and it's been on the market for a year, and nothing's happening. So she said, would you come and look and just see? So I felt so bad for her. I mean, a year she hadn't lived in her house. So I called my brother Michael, and I just said, bro, can you see spirit? Yeah. Do they scare you? No. Okay, will you go with me to this lady's house? Sure. And my sister-in-law, his wife, came along with us. Now, she is not into anything that we are into. And so, but she came with, and it was unbelievable when we walked in that front door. And what was really nice to have a partner in this is that, okay, when we first walked in the front door, psychically, I mean, the house itself was bare, but psychically, here's this round table, and here's all these gentlemen sitting around in a circle, and they were dressed kind of different. I didn't really recognize what that was, but I look at these men, and I look at my brother, and he goes, whoa, that's a lot of guys. Okay, so the good news is he's seeing the same thing that I was seeing. Okay, so then okay, here's the other cool thing, is that our guides at that time came with us, and so John's with me, and John says, ask them why they're here. Okay, why are you guys here? What are you guys? We're a group of Quakers, and we come here every week to pray. Oh, okay. We didn't know what to do, so then we went into the kitchen. Oh my God, it was so funny. The woman who owned the house, my student, she had bought us a pizza, and so it was sitting in the kitchen. And there, standing right next to the pizza, is a ghost, pretending like he's eating the pizza. I look at my brother, some guy's eating a pizza. I go, okay, this is good. Then we went into a bedroom, and there was, psychically, there's a bed, and there's a lady laying in the bed. She looks like a skeleton. She looked awful. And I look at my brother, he's like, oh God, let's get out of this room. And so then we went upstairs. Okay, so we're upstairs. There's children in the closet playing toys. There's a teenager, and we see this picture of a bed. This teenager's jumping on the bed. There was a guy, oh, this was creepy. Okay, so I just happened to turn around and look at my sister-in-law, and there was a guy coming up just like this from behind her, and he looked like he was going to try to strangle her, and it just startled me, and I quick moved over to her, and I pushed her out of the way, and I yelled at this guy, what do you think you're doing? And he was freaked out that I could see what he was doing, and so he bolted back down the stairs. Okay, so then, all right, so we've got a house crawling with ghosts, and we didn't have a clue. And so that's when John, and I can't remember my brother's guide's name, but his guide, they were guiding us on how to get rid of these folks. And, okay, so what they taught us was go back down, talk to the group of men, find out what their names are, and then tell them, you need to move on to the light. And, you're stuck here in time, and you can have a whole new life on the other side. You can still all meet on the other side. And, okay, so we did that. And then we went to the pizza guy, and we got him to go to the light. And Michael and I were able to see, it looked like it always reminds me when I see it, it's the tunnel that leads to the other side. It always reminds me of kind of like that waiting area at the airport when we all used to meet people at the airplanes. Because in the tunnel, there's a whole bunch of people, and they're standing there with balloons, or they're standing there with flowers, and they're waiting for their deceased loved ones to come into the tunnel that day and and then escort them on into the light and onto the other side. So we would guide these spirits. We always asked their name. They always just gave us a first name. And we would ask them to, we would guide them. Okay, keep going, keep going. We could see them in the tunnel. We could see them getting up towards the white light. And just about every time that they get up to the white light, they turn around and look, kind of like, do I really have to go in there? And it's like, yes, keep going. You're doing a great job. Come on, keep going. And then they go in the light. All right. And we did that. Yes, it took us 4 hours, but we did it. We went to every spirit in that house. And the good news was her house sold a week later. Isn't that cool? So, you know, a lot of people think that if you burn sage or sweetgrass, or nowadays it's Palo Santo, that gets rid of a ghost. But it doesn't. What it does, and what we've learned, again, according to the guides, is after we've got rid of all the all the ghosts, then we go through the house and burn sage or sweetgrass or Palo Santo. And what that does is it clears all of the different emotions of the ghosts, and it also clears all the emotions of the people that were living in the house. That's what that stuff does. I mean, I'm telling you, I've had more than one ghost say to me, God, why does she burn that stuff all day? Okay? People think that the sage is going to get the ghost out of there. It might get the ghost out of there for a little while until the smoke clears, and then they'll just go right back in. So if you ever come across a situation where you think, oh good, I'll just get some sage and get rid of this guy, it doesn't work that way. This was way before any of the ghost busting movies came out, and so, you know, we never, it was just, okay, people would call and say, would you come and clear our house? And off we'd go. And we have seen, oh my gosh. Well, just think about it. If we've been doing this work, specifically ghost busting, for 30 years, we've seen a lot of different situations. And we always ask the ghost, what's your name and why are you here? And the most common reason that we have heard from ghosts as to why they are staying earthbound is that they've done some things in their life that they're not proud of, and they're afraid they're going to get sent to hell. And so these ghosts have said to us, you know, God doesn't know where I am. I mean, I'm hanging in this tanning parlor, and God has no clue where I am. Okay, and they actually think that they're safe. God can't get them, so therefore God can't send them to hell. And the second reason we hear is, my ex-wife is over there, my ex-husband is over there, my parents are over there, and I hate my parents. We've heard this from a lot of ghosts. Now, the media will tell you, all these ghost shows will tell you that the reason there's a ghost in the house is because someone died there. Believe me, that's not the case. If somebody committed suicide in a house, all you have to do is you go in the house and you burn some sage or some sweetgrass or some Palo Santo. You open up a window, always, a window or a door, and the smoke clears all the negative energy out of there. So where's the negative energy coming from? Is it coming from the person who committed suicide? It could, because they were severely depressed, otherwise they wouldn't have done that. So there could be a very heavy depressed energy, specifically in the area where they committed suicide, or the house could be full of grief from the other people that lived in the house. You just get rid of all that energy and the house is fine. It never means that a house is haunted if someone died there. I would have to say, of all the ghosts we've met, none of them, there was one guy, but there's Mr. Thompson. Most ghosts don't stay in the house that they died in. What they do And here's an important fact about ghosts, is that, okay, it isn't necessarily, they don't go look for an old house to live in. New houses have just as many ghosts as old houses, okay? They will go and look for a house that has other ghosts in it. Now, here's an interesting thing. They don't socialize with each other. Ghosts tend to be loners. But what we've learned from them, because we'll say to them, we'll go into a house and, oh, there's Charlie over by the palm tree. And so we go over, talk to Charlie and say, are there any more of you here, Charlie? I mean, we used to go do all that hard work ourselves, go to every room, every nook and cranny. Now we just go in and find one and just say, are there any more of you here? And they always say, oh yeah, Bert's down in the basement, Sally's up in the attic, George is in the shower. It's like, thanks, okay. And so then what we do is we round them all up together. We have asked these ghosts a lot. Okay, do you talk to Sally in the kitchen or wherever Sally was? No, I don't know Sally. Okay, do you talk to Bert in the basement? No, I don't know Bert. Why would I talk to Bert? Oh, okay. But they pick a house that has other souls in it, like themselves, so they're not so lonely. But they have no desire to get to know these other folks, all right? These are not social people, all right? They're usually loners. You know what I would have to say? 90% of the ghosts that we meet are males. Yep. And the other reason we hear, there's two other reasons. Unfinished business, and they don't know they're dead. Now, those two are way overused by the media. Oh, there's unfinished business, unfinished business. Everybody in heaven has unfinished business, okay? That's not, oh my God, unfinished business. It's like, no. Everybody has unfinished business, so just calm down on that one. Or the media likes to say, oh, he didn't know he was dead. Oh, really? Oh my gosh. Okay, no. 30 years of doing this, and I've met one ghost that didn't know he was dead. And his name was Kenneth. Now, I was at their house, I would say in 1990. And Kenneth was a nasty little ghost. He would rip all the clothes out of the closet. He would, every day she would, she had a desk, and a dresser, and she had her jewelry on. Every day she'd come home, and Kenneth had knocked everything off the dresser. She'd do this every day. Okay, pick it all back up, put it on the dresser. She'd come home the next day, it was all on the floor, clothes were pulled out of the closet. And Kenneth would also jump on her bed at night, and it just totally freaked her out, and that's why she called me. All right, well, this is what was so interesting, is that when I got there, Kenneth wasn't there. He wasn't anywhere in the house. So I said to her, okay, well, we'll just sit and wait until he gets here. Well, so she and I are talking, and all of a sudden, there's this energy that enters the room, and it's really angry. And I just, oh, wow. I said, okay, we'll hold on. He's here. And so I look over, and there is a guy, and he's standing straight in front of me, and he's got on a uniform and a big hole blown through him, and it's bloody. Now, I've never seen a ghost look like that. Look like blood or, oh, my head, or none of that. And I was standing there looking at him thinking, okay, now why is this one so different? And John said to me, he doesn't know he's dead. And I said, is that why he looks like that? And he said, yeah. And so I said to this young man, I said, what is your name? Kenneth. Well, Kenneth, why are you here? He's, well, okay, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what he said. If there was children in the audience, I'd cover it up. But he said, this bitch is living in my house. I said, okay, what's going on here? I said, what year do you think this is? 1968? And I said, and tell me what you remember last. I was in Vietnam. Next thing you know, I come home and this bitch is living in my house. And I said, oh, okay, this is 1990. And I said, whoa, wow, okay. And I was just grasping in my mind for, what am I going to say to this kid? I mean, he was like 19 years old, very angry. And so again, I said to him, okay, why are you doing all these things? And he said, I just want her out of my house. What is she doing in my house? She's not supposed to be in my house. I come back from the war, and this woman's living in my house. And so he said, I just want her out of here, okay? And I'm going to keep doing all this stuff until she moves. Okay, so again, I just went and sat down. I was like, I don't know how to deal with this one. And my brother wasn't with me that night, and so I just sat down and I waited. It's like, okay, I need John, somebody's got to talk to me here. And John showed up and he said, I go, again, you have to tell him that he's deceased. So, okay, so I said, all right, Kenneth, I need to tell you something. This is actually 1990. And he looked so perplexed by that. And I said, and what it looks like is that you did not physically come back from Vietnam. It looks like you died in Vietnam. Well, he came at me like he was going to choke me or kill me or something, and I just went, whoa, stop. And he just screamed in my face, no, and took off. And so, went and sat back down, waited for him to come back. He came back about 20 minutes later, and I said, Kenneth, you know what? I am not going to leave tonight until you leave. And I said, this woman has been living here for a long time. This is not your house. You are deceased, and you need to go on to the other side. Again, he came looming at me, and I just said, I'm not going anywhere. He left again for a good 20 minutes, just sat down, okay. I was there for a few hours, and finally, when he came in, the last time, I said, come on, Kenneth, enough is enough. And I said, you could start a whole new life on the other side. The other side is like the coolest place ever. And he was crying. Now, souls don't cry wet tears, but they cry emotional tears. And so he was crying, and he's like, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And I said, you know, I just talked to him like, come on, honey, it's time. It's just time to go. And I'll walk you through. And so I did. I said, okay, now, can you see the white light? Yes. Okay, well, I want you to float towards that white light. Okay, so he's starting to float. He's in the tunnel. He almost is at the white light. He turns around and looks at me, and I said, yeah, you're doing a great job. Just go right inside that light. And I said, you'll find your family. They're probably all waiting for you. They've probably been waiting for you for a long time. Goes in the light. I was exhausted. It was 2 o'clock in the morning when I finally left there. And but I burned some stuff, and okay, you'll get a kick out of this. So about 10 days later, I get a phone call from the lady's roommate. And he says, I just want you to know, if she calls you, that she called Kenneth back because she missed him so much. Yes. And I was just flabbergasted. And he said, it's all happening again. All of it. And he said, I'm going to move out because I can't stand this. And he said, it's been so nice ever since you got rid of him. And now to have it all back, he said, I can't live like this. So what we found is we talk to people after we do a ghost busting, and we say to them, okay, well, first of all, what we do once we identify their ghosts, and a lot of people will call just to say, would you just come and see what's here? Because you don't have to get rid of them, but I just want to know if they're safe, because we've got children, and okay, so we'll go in, identify the ghosts, say to the people, are you sure you don't want us to get rid of them? No, they're great. You know, it's some people think of their ghosts as pets, okay? And it's nice to come home to someone kind of a thing. And we don't, okay, if they want to keep, I mean, it's none of our business if they want to keep them or not. So what we do is, at the end, after we burned the sweetgrass or the sage, is we tell the people, okay, don't talk about your ghosts for a few days. If you want to talk about this experience with people, that's fine, but go someplace. Go to a coffee shop. Don't just invite your neighbors in and go, oh man, he was jumping on the bed, blah, blah, blah. Because we have found that ghosts, once they get over there, it's kind of like moving to a new neighborhood. And so at first, when you're moving, you moved out of your old neighborhood and you've moved into a new neighborhood, it's kind of scary. Like, and so what we say to people is just give it a little bit of time. Let the ghosts be there for a few days, because once they're there, usually for like 3 days, they're hooked. They love it over there. But at first, when souls go over, some souls, they're just very, very afraid, very nervous. Now, the other thing we found is the people that are so afraid of death are people that are very fundamental in their beliefs about death. Okay, they're scared to death of death. And we've also met ghosts who say, well, I don't believe in life after death, and I don't know what I'm doing here, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. And they're just shocked that, well, I died, but here I am, and I don't have a body, and I don't know why I'm here. And they didn't believe in souls. They didn't believe in life after death. They just thought that when they died, it would be darkness. And so here they are hanging out in the astral plane, and the astral plane is, it's a dimension between here's earth, here's heaven, here's the astral plane. So they're just hanging out on the astral plane, and what happens is they get bored. They want some attention. They're lonely. So a lot of them will look around for teenagers who have a Ouija board, and that's what they do. They just, oh good, now I can finally talk to somebody, and so they start playing with the board. And that's why I don't really recommend the board. Did I tell them the story about the, no, I didn't tell you that. Oh, I got a story for you. Okay. Ouija boards. Let's talk about Ouija boards for a second, because like I told you, Mom and I, we bought our own little Ouija board, and we got so addicted to that goofy thing, it was ridiculous. Every time we had to make a decision, let's go ask the board. And, okay, so Bertie had said to us, I remember she said, do you have a Ouija board? No. And, okay, because, what did she call it? Discarnate. Okay, thank you. They're the ones that work through the Ouija boards. Well, we were like, oh no, we love our Ouija board. We're not going to get rid of it. Well, okay. One night when we were all sitting around, again, the dinner table, eating dinner, we heard this. Okay, I'll see if I can do it. Echo, come here. Okay. And we're all like, what is that? And it did it 3 times. Echo, come here. Oh, like, oh God. Okay, so we quick called Bertie on the phone, and she says, Echo's got a Ouija board in her closet, which is exactly where it was. And yes. Okay, you take that Ouija board and you burn it in the fireplace. Well, gosh, that seems so cruel. And so we thought, okay, well, we'll just put it in the garbage. And so we took it out, and the garbage was quite a ways away from the house. So, okay, walked out, put it in the garbage can. Okay. I mean, it was like a traumatic experience for us, but we did it. And the next morning when we got up and we went downstairs for breakfast, there it was sitting on the kitchen table. Okay, so we took it and burned it in the fireplace. And you know what? A lot of the stuff that was going on in our house, okay, just imagine, in a family of 6, 4 of us are psychics, and developing our psychic abilities, every ghost in town was living in our house. Spirit guides, oh my God, all these people coming and staying for dinner. It was ridiculous in our house, and which is one of the reasons why my dad finally moved out of the house, because he said, I can't take this, this is insanity, and he left. All right. Right, why did I tell you that story? Oh, just about the Ouija board, that's right. Okay, so these are the folks that played with Ouija boards. Is, you know, they say if you're going to work a Ouija board, then always ask for only the highest spirits, right? Like Lily would actually play with a Ouija board. No, angels don't work with Ouija boards. You know, advanced souls from the other side, that's like, are you kidding me? They would never work with the Ouija board. But, you know, you ask the Ouija board, are you a high spirit? Oh, yes, I am. Oh, thank God. And, okay, and so a lot of people think that's fine, it's safe. You know, here, use this for your slumber party, okay? That'll entertain the children. Well, yeah, it does entertain the children, but it's just not a good thing to do. It really isn't just a game. It's, somebody really is moving that, they call it a planchet, I think. Somebody really is moving the planchet around, so you want to remember that part. And it's also these earthbound spirits who just don't want to go to the other side. All right. So, okay. One day, Michael and I had been on a ghost busting job the night before, and it was a big job, and oh gosh, and we were, have you ever smelled sage? Okay, it smells like pot. I mean, let's be realistic here. And so we would always laugh because we would burn so much sage. I mean, we just reeked, and we would always, after a ghost busting job, Michael would drive really careful so that we wouldn't get pulled over because, oh God, we just reeked of sage. And we'd always go to Burger King, get filled up on food, and stink like sage, and that was our life, okay. But one Sunday morning, okay, we went to the ghost busting on a Saturday night. Sunday morning, I was out in the garden. It was Palm Sunday, and out in the garden. And I said to God, I said, you know what, I'd really like to have more information about the other side. Now, I had seen the other side a lot in readings, but just little snippets of where people had gone when they died. And so I said, I'd really like to have more information. And if I'm not ready to know more about the other side, could you get me ready? Because I would really like to be able to tell these ghosts more about the other side. And I said, okay, and that's it? I'm not going to ask you again. I'm just going to let it go. That was on a Sunday. Okay. On the following Wednesday, that was at a time when I was seeing 4 clients a day. And the last client of the day was a guy named Neil who came every week for healing for diabetes. Okay, so Neil, the healing is done. He's starting to walk up the stairs to leave. And all of a sudden, psychically, my office starts to fill up with a white light that was like, what? It was just like somebody just turned on a fog machine. And then I saw this spirit, female spirit in front of me, and she's saying, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. And I'm thinking, who are you? I go where? And why is everything white? And then John says, have Neil get you upstairs and have him call your brother right away and tell him to get over here. Well, it was nearly impossible to find my brother, let alone get a hold of him right away or get him to come over right away. But I gave Neil the number and I said, please call my brother, you have to help me upstairs. Because what was happening was that my body was becoming like a rag doll. And I didn't understand at the time what was happening. I'll tell you in a second. But I was just like, it was like my body was collapsing. And And so I held on to Neil, he got me upstairs, got me in the living room. Okay, by this time, I'm surrounded in this white light, and this female spirit is still saying, come on, let's go. And I'm thinking to her, and I said, I'm not going with you. I don't even know who you are. And okay, so I'm sitting on the couch. I'm a total rag doll at that point. My body's just over like that. My brother walks in the front door. He says to Neil, buddy, relax. He says, 3 days ago, she asked God if she could have more information about the other side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ground her body. I'll hold her hand. I'm going to ground her body, and then she's going to go visit. And I'm sitting there thinking, what is he talking about? And poof, this spirit turns around, looks at me. It's my soul, my face, looking at me, saying, come on, let's go. And so Michael's holding my hand, and he's keeping my body grounded. Now, when a soul leaves a body completely, like my soul was doing, our body becomes like a rag doll. The soul is the energy for the body. And so when the soul is in, you're energized. When the soul is out, you are an absolute rag doll. And some of you might be able to relate to that when I say, do you remember times at night when you're sleeping and you wake up and you can't move, you can't open your eyes, you can't move, you know you're awake, but you're just laying there. Okay, that's because your soul is out of your body. Well, my soul, suddenly I was my soul's consciousness, and into the tunnel we go. And I'm looking at all these people, and I'm seeing people with balloons and flowers, and they're just so excited because their deceased loved ones are coming home today. And we're heading into the light, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna go blind. And you don't. The white light is so inviting. It's just like it just envelops you, and you just go through it. And I came out on the other side. There's my grandma, who I haven't seen since I was 14. And she's standing there with a lady next to her. And I said, hi, Grandma. And she says, hi, honey. And then she says to her friend, this is my granddaughter, Echo. And her friend says, well, I didn't know she was dying today. And my grandma says, oh, no, she's not dying. She's just visiting. And I'm thinking, am I making this stuff up? Okay, well, right then, this angel floats up to me and says, come on, we don't have much time. This is not easy for your body. Okay, and so off we go. And over, oh, it was beautiful. Over to the right is this very tall building. And she says, and what was interesting, you guys, is the grass, God, it was such a gorgeous green color. But the whole place had like a pink aura to it. And she said to me, okay, here's the other thing. She never spoke. Everything was mental telepathy. So she sent this thought, this is the pink place. And she says, and this is our hospital. She says, there are many hospitals in heaven, but I'm going to show you this one. And so I'm just looking at this really tall building. My mind is thinking, why do they have a hospital here? And she says, well, look at the second floor. Suddenly, I can see the second floor. And there's like rows and rows and rows of beds. And every bed had someone sitting on it, just sitting, waiting. And she said, this is the floor for suicide souls. Every bed has a caregiver. And when one arrives, they are placed here in a bed, and then a caregiver helps them when they wake up, helps them to understand that they actually did commit suicide and that this isn't a dream, because they have said that a lot of suicide people think, okay, I just need to wake up from this dream. And so she said the caregiver helps them. All right, then she said, now, look at the 8th floor. Okay, and it was suddenly like I was at the 8th floor, and she says, This is a floor for people who had physical handicaps when they were alive, and she says it takes time to work with them to realize they no longer need a cane, they no longer are an amputee, that they've got full use of everything, and that they're now fine. But she says some people, when they have a disability for a long time, that's how they think of themselves. And so she says we work with them to heal those beliefs about themselves. Okay. I said, look at all these people laying in the grass, and there were souls everywhere in the grass. And she said, these are souls that come here to heal. And this is a very healing environment. And so a lot of souls don't need to go into the hospital. They just come and lay on the grass, and they get healed. Wow, okay. And then we floated along, and here's this gorgeous Coliseum. It was enormous, and it had windows and doors, but it didn't have actual doors or windows. It was just things cut out for a window, and angels were flying in and out of this building. And so I had the thought, okay, now what is this? Why are there so many angels here? And she sent me the thought, these are the angels that work with people on earth. And she said, they come back a lot, and she said, you can tell they're very happy souls, and oh yeah, they were giggling, they were happy, they were talking to each other about different situations going on earth. It was just very, very busy. Okay. Then she sent the thought, I'm going to take you to a special place. Okay. And we came up over a hill, looked down, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh my God, this place is fantastic. It was so beautiful there. And down in the middle of town was a man. And he's talking. And there's people up on the hill. There's people down in the city. There's people everywhere listening to him. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, oh my God, that looks just like Jesus. And she says to me, it is Jesus. And I felt so emotional, it was just like it overtook me, this feeling of, oh my God, I'm home. And I had the thought, oh, I wish I could go closer. And suddenly, there I was, closer. And I'm looking at him. And then I'm looking at all the people. Some people were laughing at what he said. Some people were crying at what he said. Some people were just totally mesmerized by what he said. And I just had the thought, wow, is this what he does? And then I heard the thought in my head, I will continue to teach until everyone gets the message that they are a child of God. It was so strong, like everything in me resonated with that. And I had the thought, okay, I'm home, I'm not going back. And my brother says, oh, no, you don't. You are coming back here. And he said, and this is really hard on your body, he says, so hurry up. And so I had a thought to myself, oh, nobody can make me go back, I'm not going back. And the angel looks at me and she says, you know, you weren't allowed here just for your benefit. You were allowed to come here so that you could tell others about it. And I'm thinking, neither one of you can make me go back. And, okay. So then she says, come on, there's more to show you. All right. And my brother said, let's go where the music is. I thought, the music? Oh yeah, there is music here. I hadn't even noticed it before. And so she takes me to this place, this field, and it was like the size of 3 football fields. What it was all these musicians. It was very interesting. And, okay, so here's like thousands, I guess maybe, of musicians. But here's what was cool, was that, okay, if the country western singers are over here in this group playing country western, if I looked at them, I tuned into their sound. Okay, if there's opera singers over here and they're all hanging with each other and they're all happy and they're all singing opera, when I looked at them, I would tune into that sound. Okay, everybody, and yes, I really did see Elvis, I promise you I did. Oh, it was marvelous. Anyway, wherever I looked is what I would hear. And what was so cool was my brother was here on earth hearing the same thing. Wherever I was looking, he was able to hear the music. So it was just really cool. Okay, so then, where did we go? Gosh, it's like we went up a little higher, and I could see communities. It's kind of like when you're in an airplane and you're looking out the window and you see the place is so well mapped out. Well, that's what it was like. It was like I went up above and I could see different communities. So I said to her, well, I had the thought, what is this? And she said that there are several different communities that represented different beliefs. So, like if you're a Native American Indian and you have the beliefs of a Native American Indian, when you pass, you're going to go to that community, okay? If you're Jewish and you pass, you're going to go to that community. If you're, what did she say? If you're a hard-working Catholic German, you're going to go to this community over here. And so I was just trying to figure it all out. And she said, you will go where your beliefs send you. And then she said, I'm going to show you something interesting. And she took me to a community, and she said, this is the community of beggars and thieves. So I said, in heaven? And she said, this is their beliefs. They believe that if they need something, they either beg for it or they steal it. And she said, and when their soul came to heaven, they could not see all the beauty. All they could think about was if they had needs or wants, they would have to steal or beg. Interesting, huh? So they lived in that community. It was really sad to see it, because they were like begging each other for things. Okay, so we left that community, and all right, you'll like this. Okay, so remember the comedian Sam Kinison? He was pretty crude in his delivery. And for some of you who, if you don't know him, you're probably good. Okay. Okay, so Sam, he always wore this long trench coat and this French beret hat and Chuck Taylor tennis shoes. And he would, okay. All right, just to give you one idea of Sam Kinison. He used to be a preacher, then he became a comedian, and he would always tell jokes about having sex with dead people. Okay, that gives you an idea of Sam Kinison. Okay, all right. Well, he had just died the week before this experience, and so I just had the thought, oh, I wonder what happened to Sam Kinison. Before you know it, there he is right across the street, and I'm going, whoa! Because it was so bizarre, no matter where your thoughts are is where you are. I mean, okay, so there's Sam Kinison. He's across the street, and I see people coming up to him, they're shaking his hand, and they're saying, Sam, you did a great job, man. And I think, did they catch his act? And, okay, and more people were coming up. As he's walking down the street, hey, man. He had that high-pitched voice, hey, man. And people would come up and shake his hand, and everybody told him he did a great job. So finally, I just looked at the angel. I said, really? He did a good job? And she said, just as calm as could be, she said, yes, Echo, his delivery was rather, well, but she says he got people thinking about what did they believe in. I thought, wow, that's just amazing. Okay, so I hear my brother's voice. Sis, Your body is really struggling to breathe. You have to get back here. I had the thought, sorry bro, I'm not coming back, okay? And the angel says, no, Echo, you really do need to go back. Well, when I was looking at her and she was saying that, I noticed a stairway off in the distance. And I said to her, oh, there's a stairway. Where does that lead? And she said, to the higher levels in heaven. And I said, how many are there? She said, there's 7 levels altogether. And I said, well, so I start to float. She goes, no, no. She says, you're not ready. You don't have a consciousness yet about the higher levels of heaven. And right then, bam, I slammed back into my body. It's that fast. Now, what was interesting was, and again, this is how I learned all these things through experiencing them, not reading them in a book. Oh no. I have the actual experiences so that I can come back and tell people what it's like. And with this particular situation, I realized how powerful the soul is, because my body literally was sitting on that couch and I was like gasping to get any energy possible. When my soul went into my body, it took me, oh man, it took me, I bet you, 5 minutes before I could even speak. And my tongue was thick, and my legs, I couldn't move my legs. And so it's like I had to integrate all the energy back into the body. And it took a good half an hour before I was actually able to get up and not walk like a little toddler. And then I was back. Okay, well, the interesting thing about this is that for the next 3 days, I was ridiculous. I was, okay, first of all, I was extremely depressed that I was back here. And secondly, I was driving like a maniac. I was hoping to die. I missed it. I missed heaven. I missed home so bad that I just wanted to get back there. And I didn't really realize what was going on with me until the 3rd day, when I looked at, why are you being so crazy? And why are you so depressed? And then it just became really clear to me that my soul wanted to be back home. So you know what I did? I said, okay, God, first of all, let me thank you for having that experience. But please don't ever let me go there again unless I get to stay. Because I said, that place is amazing. And I said, every part of it was amazing. And I just really want to be there. So after that, since then, when I have gotten more information about the other side, and I have been given information about the higher levels, but I had to grow more, I had to mature more myself spiritually. Since then, I am grateful for the experience. It was really, really a good experience to have. And I'm very grateful that Michael went through it with me, because he can recount the story just as well as I just told you. It's like he experienced the whole thing himself just by me going through it. All right, so let me tell you really quick about 35 minutes, okay. What I've learned about the higher levels, okay, this is what I've learned. That here on Earth, there are 7 levels of spiritual consciousness. Level 1 is a beginning soul, a soul that's just been created. And they don't have much of a consciousness about anything. And these are the kids that we're seeing in the gangs, okay? The people that have no consciousness about killing other people or stealing from them or hurting animals, or they don't have any kind of consciousness about that. Okay. they think that the way to have power is to kill other people or steal or, oh man. All right. Level 2 is people who are kind of coming out of that way of thinking. Now, level 1 soul, they could easily have 50 lifetimes to break that, no, I don't want to say break, to change their consciousness, to change that, okay, this isn't a good way to be. A lot of people, when they're a level 1 soul, they get into things like voodoo, black magic. They're trying to find ways to feel powerful about themselves, to feel that their gang respects them, kind of a thing. So this is their idea of how you get power. All right, they're very early in their stages. The level 2 souls are, okay, they're kind of getting a consciousness about this. Oh, you know what, the other thing too is, a level 1, they are learning about karma, and they're learning that, they're learning the consequences of if you kill someone, murder someone, steal from someone. They are going through a lot of the punishment of the acts that they've done in other lifetimes. But because their consciousness is so limited, they continue to do stupid things, and then they rack up more karma. Okay, then they pass into level 2 souls. Now they're getting a little bit better. They still have behavior from level 1, but their behavior is kind of changing. They're put into families that will help them to understand things more. But this is, these levels can be what we would call in our society like sociopaths, psychopaths. They don't have a consciousness yet. They haven't understood it yet. All right. So, but they're learning. Level 2 souls, they're learning. Level 3 souls they're advanced even more, and now they are more loving. They're probably, they're becoming nice people. They're becoming aware of other people and not hurting other people and not hurting animals, respecting the earth and everything about it. Now, this can take 50 lifetimes. Each one of these can take 50 lifetimes because we get stuck in these patterns, and we get it set up so that, okay, we're in a family system this lifetime that's going to break my patterns. Oh, thank God. Okay. But they get into this family situation and they get stuck. And it isn't enough to get unstuck. Okay, so they come back in another life, and then they come back in another life. All right. When we get to level 4, people like us we've moved away from religion. That doesn't mean that we don't have religion, because most of us start out with religion, but we also include spirituality. So level 4 souls are now reaching out. I want an understanding of spirituality. It's like religion isn't doing enough for me. I need to take it to the next stage. And for a lot of us, we combine spirituality with religion. We're now trying to understand what people mean when they say our oneness with God. All right, we're trying to understand what it feels like to be a child of God. This can take another 50 years because we can again get stuck in these old patterns. And all right, now, when she was explaining all of this to me, she was saying, over here in this community, this is level 1. Over here is level 2. Over here is level 3, over here is level 4. And I said to her, oh, isn't that kind of confusing? And she laughed and she said, confusing? No. If a person comes out of level 2, that community, then, we know where their consciousness is. She says, what's confusing is on Earth, you all live together. And she says, but you all think that each other has the same consciousness. And you're so shocked when all of a sudden somebody from level 1 shoots somebody. And then, anyway, you're getting my drift, right? Okay. So she said it's a lot harder here on Earth because we all live together and we're all trying to get along together, and yet we're all at different levels. Okay, then when we have graduated from level 4, that's when we go up to level 5. Now, she says most people in level 5 never go back to Earth. Because she says that's kind of like when you graduate from college. Would you go back to kindergarten just for a visit? No. Okay. You've taken it as far as you can, gotten your PhD, and no, I'm not going to go back and visit Earth. So most people, when they're done at level 4, they go on to the higher level of level 5. Now, here's the part I can't tell you is, what exactly do they do? You know, what is their consciousness? I'm not there yet, so I don't understand their consciousness. Then there's level 6, and then there's level 7. And she said level 7 is where we all have the same consciousness. We're all very happy. We understand our oneness with God completely. Now, here's something else. This minister that I know who recently died, she really fought death like you can't imagine. She put herself through more horrible things. And I said to her one day, "Are you afraid to die?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because I don't want to just become one with the white light and never have my personality." Okay, you know what? You're never going to lose you. I mean, you're a unique. There's nobody else on this planet like you. Nobody. Even if you have a twin or a triplet. There's nobody else on this planet like you. And you are a part of God's family. And God doesn't make judgments. Not the God that I have come to understand. And so you are an important part of this whole picture. You might think you're insignificant, but believe me, you are not insignificant. And so all of us live, when we've gone through all the different levels, we live on the highest level, which is 7. And you're still going to have your quirky personality, okay? You're still going to be you. It's just that you will see things from a much higher perspective. Okay? Okay. Now, one other thing about people in level 5 is that level 5 people can come back to Earth if they want, but they don't have any more karma. They end up being almost like an angel on Earth. They're just these really sweet people that come into our life from time to time, and they help us out. You know, they remind us of the goodness of life. They're just, you know, content. I had a lady in my life like that. She was just like, we used to say to her, "Millie, where are you from?" I mean, because she was so sweet and loving, and she always had, I know we're running out of time, but I'm going to tell you a quick story about Millie because it's really sweet. And that is, we were all working for, this was before the barbershop experience, this is when I was still hiding in the psychic closet, and we were all working for an employment agency for recovering alcoholics. And the company was going broke, and it was Christmas time. They couldn't pay us. It was a terrible situation, and Millie was the main counselor, and then there was Paula and myself. And so cute. It was the week right after Christmas, in the week before New Year's, and Saturday night was New Year's Eve. So, and we were all living on peanut butter and Wonder Bread, okay? And so Millie came out that day, and she was just like this. Okay, so Millie comes out, she says, "Come on, you two, I'm taking you to lunch." We're like, "You have money?" And she says, "Yeah, we're gonna go downstairs to the cafeteria, we're gonna get meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and gravy." And we're like, "Oh my gosh." But Millie, can you afford this? She says, "Ladies, she says, just think of this, it might be my last day on Earth. Of course I'm gonna buy you breakfast or lunch." Okay, so we go down, we're just in every bite we're taking is like amazing, and we all hugged goodbye, and you know, she wished us Happy New Year, we wished her Happy New Year. And I remember walking away thinking, God, I wish I had her faith. Because we said to her that day, well, what about tomorrow? And because she was counting pennies out of her little coin purse to buy us lunch. And when I walked away from her that day and I was driving home, I said to God, boy, I wish I had the faith she had. I said, did you see that? She used every penny she had to buy us lunch. And I said, please make me like that someday. That night she passed away. Yeah, she did. And we couldn't believe it. It was just, she had such a knowing. Because she said to us that day when we were saying, Millie, how can you afford this? She said, girls, every day we're taken care of. You have to remember that. There's no guarantee any of us are going to be here tomorrow. And so she says, I saved for this lunch. And she said, we're all taken care of. And that was her words. And okay, I'm sure Millie's up there on the 5th level somewhere. That's how she lived her life always, was just a faith, a knowing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is the last portion of this afternoon, which is where I'm going to open up psychically and I will answer some questions. I know I've talked for a really long time, but I always think that the talk is much more important than doing readings because I'm able to give you so much more information than just doing a reading for a person. But before I do that, before I open up psychically, does anybody have any questions from anything that I've said today? Yes. Steve?
Well, could I ask you this question? It's a personal question. For the last 7 years, my wife and I have channeled information from heaven, and we've tried to explore those higher regions that she discussed. We have 11 ebooks on Amazon, and to me they're very fulfilling. I love sharing the good news that you just described.
Okay.
I became a divorcee just 2 months ago. I cut off from my medium, my channel. I've worked with some other ladies to try to accomplish the same thing, but I don't know where I'm supposed to go now. I'm very interested in sharing this good news, but could you tell me what Spirit has to say? What is my function now?
She's going to answer questions
all right.
from the raffle.
Okay.
We don't want to take personal questions during the time.
Yes, ma'am.
You said, when you said no, your stomach was flat? I didn't understand that. When you
Oh, honey, yeah, don't I wish my stomach was flat. Never. Okay, honey, what I meant was my intuition just didn't respond. That's what I mean. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I'm always saying my stomach is flat. You're right. What does that say? But, honey, when intuition just doesn't respond, it's flat. Yeah, it's not. Yes, sir. Yep, you.
Could you say something about level 6?
I'm sorry, honey. I can't see you, so I thought you were a man. I'm sorry. Level 6. I wish I could, honey. I'm not there yet. I have to learn more. I have to grow more. Yeah. Yes.
Do you do workshops?
I do. I teach psychic development classes, and I also have an online class for anybody that's interested in developing your abilities. You can go to my website, which is really easy, echobodine.com, and you can click on classes and learn about when the next ones are. But yeah, honey, I do, you know, I was just talking to a friend of mine about coming to Chicago and doing like a 2-day psychic development workshop. Yeah. So yeah, you'd be interested. Okay. Cool. Okay, good. Yes, ma'am.
When you work with disincarnating ghosts, what do you do to protect yourself?
You know what, sweetheart? I never even worry about protecting myself because ghosts don't like change, and that's one of the reasons why they stay in these homes. They don't want to go home with me. They don't, people say to me all the time, aren't you worried they're going to follow you home? No. I mean, they will hang out in a closet for 30 years before they'll move. And so I've never had a ghost follow me home. Well, that's partially because we get them to go into the light. But even the ghosts that have said to us, basically, screw you, I'm not going anywhere. And I mean, we can't force a ghost to go someplace. But they've never, ever followed us home. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have ghosts visiting me, but I have a rule in my house, and I have a teaching center in Minneapolis. And I have put up, I have a, one of those circle pictures, with the slash through. It's a picture of a ghost, and it's like, no, this is a ghost-free zone. You are not allowed there. And I never had any problems, so it's just, yes.
I was, I like how you talked about the levels, and I've been reading Gary Renard,
Yeah.
and he mentions, I think, in one of the books that he talks about, just like you do, that people reincarnate many, many times as we move through.
Yep.
He said that ultimately, though, all those levels still aren't the ultimate level. So I'm wondering, is that level 7 where you're now back completely home? And is that what you're saying?
Yes, but you know what? Even when you get home, okay, so when we all die and we go over to the other side, usually we go to the basic level of 1 through 4. We go there, we meet with the elders, we do a life review, and then at a certain time we move up to wherever we're at in our consciousness. Another quick story, my Unity minister had died, and he was a ball of energy, always really happy, and so I was writing, I think it was the book Echoes of the Soul, and at that point I said to God, okay, could you give me more information without me going over there? And all of a sudden, I felt this energy come into my office, and it was so startling, and so I thought, okay, so I opened up psychically, and I looked, and it was really weird because it was like there was somebody right next to me, but I couldn't see them. All right, just imagine a figure that looked like clear jello. I know. Okay, so if you've ever seen that movie, The Invisible Man, okay, that's what he looked like. And so he said, hello, Echo, and he sounded just like Phil. And I said, whoa. Is that you, Phil? He says, yeah, it's me. And I said, whoa, you look different. And he said, oh, do you want me to take form? I can take form. Do you want me to take form? Do you want me to take form? And I'm like, no, you just look like a bowl of clear jello. And he said, oh, I can take form. And I said, it doesn't matter. I said, I can just feel your essence so strong. And I said, where do you live? And he said, I'm level 5. And I said, wow, that's just really cool. And I said, do you come here much? He goes, please, it's like going to kindergarten. And I said, oh, okay. And then he says, well, if I can be of any service, you just let me know. He was gone. So he didn't tell me anything about level 5, but his essence, it was just all him. So I'm sure if I had needed him to take form, they can do that. They can take form and look just like they did in their last incarnation. Oh, and let me tell you another thing. See, there's just so much to tell you. Okay, so another thing is that when you're walking around in heaven, all right, so you're with all these folks. Let's say you're walking down the street and there's your neighbor from Germany, all right? Okay, what happens is when your neighbor from Germany looks at you, you will take on the appearance of what you look like in Germany. And that person, even though they may be completely different now, they will take on that look that they had in Germany. And that's how we recognize each other from our past lives when we're on the other side. Okay. Yes, sir.
How is a soul created if we're all eternal and part of God? How does it manifest?
Okay, what I've been shown is that God is this amazing energy, completely male and female. And I've seen, the picture that came to me was, it's like God reaches into itself and creates each soul. Okay, so each soul Each one of us comes from God, but to say to each one of us in the beginning of our creation, you are a perfect child of God. You come from perfection. That's like looking at a baby in a nursery and saying, you can become the president of the United States. The baby's going to look at you and burp. It's not. It has no consciousness of what you just said. And so it starts out its development. And so we go through all of this so that we have the same understanding and compassion that God has. So that we really get it, that we came from the source. And it takes us a lot of lifetimes. To understand perfection, we go through tons of stuff. That's what we do. Yeah. And in the end, we live back in that, but it is like the Garden of Eden to the max. It's just beautiful. And we're totally in harmony with each other. I mean, all the judgments, everything is gone. It's really something. Okay.
Oh, there's too many
Yes.
questions.
When you spoke about using a white handkerchief during healing,
Yeah, honey.
what do you do with the white handkerchief after? And is there any way to, if you don't have a handkerchief that you can use?
Yes. Okay, her question is, and don't worry about the questions because this seems more important. Okay, I had mentioned that I use white hankies when I channel. You know, I think there's a lot of reasons why. One of them is real basic. Sometimes in the summertime, when I'm channeling healing to someone, my hands get so sweaty and it, prevents them from getting wet. But the main thing is the hanky feels like it's a little barrier. Kind of like they're underneath, I'm up here, I'm not going to absorb anything from them. Now there's been times I've been in restaurants and all of a sudden, somebody will say, oh my God, my head is killing me. Oh, and so I just grabbed the napkin, put it on my hand, put it on the back of their neck. Sometimes I've gone in the bathroom, gotten toilet paper, come out, put it on my hands. The thing that's so cool, let me tell you about this, is the hankies absorb healing energy. I had a client who came from Hawaii, she wanted to get a reading. Her husband, they were on vacation. Her husband didn't come because he was having a lot of stomach problems. Well, this is the first time that my guide said, okay, here's what you're going to do. He said, take 2 hankies, hold them while you're doing her reading, fill them up with healing energy, wrap them in a ball, put a rubber binder around it, and send it home with her. And she said to me, well, I'm not going to be home for 2 weeks. And I said, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this before, so let's just see. She went home 2 weeks later. She called me that day. Her husband was in a lot of pain that day. She got off the plane. She unpacked the things. They put it on his stomach. She said for the first time in 2 weeks, has no pain. All right. He said to her, holy smokes, these are so hot. Okay. I had a nun drive over from Wisconsin. She had 4 kinds of cancer in her body. She had less than 6 months to live. And she said to me, I read your book, Hands That Heal. And she said, I feel like, well, what have I got to lose? I said, okay. So what I do in that case, Sister Ann was her name. So Sister Ann's laying on the table. I put hankies everywhere that I think my hands are going to go. And this, again, is my intuition guiding me. All right. So I stood and I channeled healing to Sister Ann for a good 45 minutes. At the end, my guide said, pull all the hankies together, send them home with her. Tell her to put these hankies on herself every day, and when they feel empty, mail them back, we'll fill them back up. Okay? So I did that. Sister Ann lived for 4 years with her hankies alone. She would send them to me when they felt empty. Then at night she would put them on her body, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, set them aside, and it was the other nuns that sent me back the hankies. They were all washed and ironed and said, you and God kept Sister Ann going for 4 years. And she said, thank you very much. Honey, oh my gosh, I have a program called the Healing Pen Pal program. And there's over 150 healers that I have taught. And what it is, I've taught absentee healing. It's called absentee healing, where it's just like with Jesus when that guy came to him and said, will you please come to my home and heal my son? And Jesus said, because of your faith, he is healed. Now go home. And so what Jesus did is he just visualized sending healing. And that's what I started doing when I was getting letters from people that had red hands that heal. And you guys, here's another really cool thing. Okay, so the book Hands That Heal comes out. I'm talking there about distance healing. You know, you can write to me and request distance healing. It's a free service. And okay, so the mail is starting to stack up and I'm just like overwhelmed. And so I just kept adding the letters to my desk. All right, then one day I said, okay, you have to read these letters. And okay, so I'm reading, take a letter from the top. I read it. Dear Echo, I can't thank you enough for sending healing to my back. I've been able to go back to work. I feel like $1,000,000. And I look at the name and I was like, who are you? I don't know who you are. Okay. So, another letter. Echo, thank you so much. I'm thinking, I don't know who you people are. Okay. Well, then when I get down to the bottom of the list, where all these requests are, there's their requests. I never even read the requests. And they were getting answered. So what came to me is, as soon as they wrote a letter asking for help, God started sending healing right away. So they didn't need me. But, you know, I asked my minister one time, why do people come to me? Why don't they just go to God? And he said, because people like a God with skin on. People like people to do this. And I have found that a lot over the years where people are getting healed, people that have written letters. Remember in the Bible, Jesus says to the people, are you ready to be healed? Okay, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I used to think when I was a little girl and I heard that story, I thought, well, that is just the stupidest question in the world. Who wouldn't want to get healed? But I have since learned, after doing healings on people for 50 years, that not everybody is ready to be healed. A lot of people need illness or disease to help them grow more, become more conscious. It helps their families to grow more. A lot of people don't feel worthy of being healed, so they don't come. They don't ask for healing. It's been an interesting journey to find out a lot about people when it comes to healing and how few people really feel that they deserve to be healed. A lot of people say to me, well, God's the one that gave me this cancer, why would God heal it? And when I say to them, you know what, God didn't give you cancer. Your body has cancer in it, and it's something you're supposed to be dealing with. People are like, are you kidding? No, this came from God. That's how God is. God's a jerk, okay? Now that's their belief system. And so they're going to always believe it's God that's creating all of this havoc in their life. And so they're not going to go ask God for healing. So there's just been so many interesting things to learn about healing. And I bet you any second Diane's going to say, there's 2 minutes left to go. You have to stop talking. Oh, we have 7 minutes left. Okay. Yes.
I have a question. You mentioned your guide, John.
Yeah.
Have you noticed in your lifetime that you'll have a guide pop in and help you with something specific in your life that you needed to learn, and then they kind of pop back out?
Yes. Yes. We have regular guides. Everybody has at least 2 regular guides, and then different guides will pop in just for a specific reason, and then they'll be on their way. And sometimes it's just because that's their expertise. You know, the guide, John, was the guide who helped me write my big book of healing. And when the book was done, John said, I'm done. Now I'm going to reincarnate. And I was just brokenhearted because I just adored him. He was really funny and he made my work really easy. And he said, you'll have another guide. He'll be here in 3 days. And but there's been, since then I've written other books, and different guides will come in and say, okay, I'm going to help you with this book, and but I'm not sticking around. And so, okay, I write the book, we get it done, poof, they're gone. Yeah. They do that, honey. Yes.
Do you do phone readings?
You know, the readings that I do are all on the phone now. And it's mainly two reasons. Because when I'm doing it over the phone, I don't get exhausted afterwards. Usually if I'm in the presence of someone when I'm doing a reading, I just get worn out. Okay. The other reason is that I'm not seeing any expression on their face. So if I say to somebody on the phone, oh yeah, I see a job change coming, if they're like, okay, then if I'm in their presence, it's like, uh-oh, what did I just say? And it's like expressions from people can actually pull me out of being psychic and pull me into my human part that says, uh-oh, what did I just say? Did I upset this person? And so I have found it's a lot easier not to see any kind of anything and the clients on the other end. Okay, so back to your question. I hardly ever do readings anymore, hardly ever. And okay, let me say this, that I go through periods where, and right now I'm in a writing zone, so I'm just working on this next book, not doing any psychic work at all. And then when that book is done, whoop, then I'll just be as psychic as you can get, and I'll want readings because it's like I want to use that energy to just, I need to do psychic work. So use your intuition, and when your intuition says, oh, she's back at work, then email me, and it's echo@echobodine.com, and then we can set something up. That's how it works. Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, do you sleep like a regular person? Or you
No.
No.
Okay. I love 3 o'clock in the morning because everybody in the world is asleep, and I'm not hearing all this chatter in my head all the time. My brother's the same way, and so he and I will usually be talking at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's wide awake, I'm wide awake. Oh, God, isn't it nice, bro? I can't hear anybody right now. And he's like, yes, it's like any there. Isn't it great? And then, so usually between 3 and 3:30, I go to sleep. My body requires 10 hours of sleep. Now, what I've been hearing from a lot of people, and this has gone on for years, people will say to me, well, actually, Bertie was the one who said, Echo, you do more healing work during your sleep than you do when you're awake. Many letters have come to me from people who say, when I went to bed last night, I prayed and asked you to come and heal me of my psoriasis or my arthritis or my whatever. And they say, and this morning I woke up and I have absolutely no pain. Some people say, I saw you standing over me, healing me in the middle of the night. Some people say, I woke up because I could feel hands on me and I saw your face smiling at me. I have no pain today. I think that's what's going on because, I mean, I used to get by on 5-6 hours, and now I've just gone from 9 hours a night to 10 hours a night. And when I wake up, I am in an absolute fog. I have no clue what's going on. So it takes me at least an hour just to kind of come to and, oh, okay, I'm back here on Earth. That's how we do it. Michael, same way. Michael's the same way. Yeah. My sister Nikki, I never finished that story. In her mid-40s, she had been a flight attendant for some country for many, many years, 25 years, and now she's a medium herself. All this came on her when she was 44 years old. Yes.
Do you have any insight into somebody like Beethoven or Mozart? Are they geniuses, or do their guides?
No, they're geniuses, but you know, okay, so they developed themselves in that arena, and now they have to develop themselves in other arenas. So they've all been reincarnated, and
I guess the question was, do the guides give them the music, or do they create the...
yeah, the guides can. You know, that's one of the things I saw. You know, that field of musicians. I saw a lot of them sitting and writing music, and I saw them hand a written song to an angel, and then I saw the angel coming down to earth, trying to send it to the musician. So a lot of it is channeled music. Yes.
are extraterrestrials on the same level of consciousness as we are, and do they go through the same levels?
Extraterrestrials are us. We have lived on their planets, they have lived on our planets. It's all part of the bigger picture. We've all lived on different planets, but we just don't have a remembrance of it. And the reason we don't have a remembrance is just because if you think about it, we've got enough on our plate right now. I don't need to know that I lived on, Zaroff in my 3,000th year here on Earth. It's like, oh my God. So that's why we just have today. That's why we have a memory of this lifetime. Well, most of us have a memory. And that's another thing is my memory is absolutely shot. And I sometimes wonder, is it because I'm in between both worlds all the time? Because I know that I am. I'm just not sure. I have to keep learning. I'm still learning. Yes, lady in the pink top.
Did you receive information about animals and their consciousness, and are they still with us in heaven?
Oh, without a doubt, they're still with us in heaven. Oh my goodness. You know what you want to do? If you're on Facebook, go to my Facebook page, which is Echo Lee Bodine. Scroll down just a little bit and you'll see a green picture. It is a, what would I call it? That's a segment that a LA production company came into Minneapolis and taped of myself and a policeman who took pictures. He took pictures with his 110 Instamatic at a car accident, fatal car accident. He took some pictures like he always did, and you can actually see the soul above the car, and you can actually see at the side door of the car the soul of a dog. And the people that knew the boy said that that was his dog that had died a year before the accident. So his dog actually came here to take the boy to the other side. So if you can get on Facebook, that was the thing that we wanted to show you today, but we couldn't figure out all the electronics, and so we weren't able to show you. But if you can, please try to go see it, because the pictures are absolutely amazing, and you'll love it. You'll just love it. Okay, I think because Diane's standing there, I think that means that it's time for me to say adios. Thank you. Thank you so much, Echo. It was wonderful. Every second was wonderful. We could have another 3 days, and I don't think